Line hour at 989-752-6111. Had to chuckle because I got two headlines from the Detroit Free Press. And talk about two headlines that are about as far apart as you go. They're talking about the automobile because, of course, the Detroit Auto Show is about to open to the public and all of that. But here are the headlines that I had to chuckle at this because the one headline says Pete Buttigieg says EVs are still the future of the automotive industry. And by the way, I'm not laughing at what he said about EVs because I think in some ways he's right, whether we like it or not down the road. But here's the other headline. So you just heard Pete Buttigieg say EVs are still the future. The other headline, Ford introduces new dark horse Mustang it calls most thrilling ever. For you petrol heads out there, it's a 500 horsepower supercharged V8, and it's called the Dark Horse SC. And it takes a lot of its handling and things of that nature from the Mustang, which, of course, is the GTD, which is the ultimate Mustang at 815 horsepower. And I just had to chuckle at how these two headlines couldn't be farther apart. Ford introduces a new powerful race-ready Mustang, and Buttigieg is talking about the fact that EVs are the future. And by the way, if you wonder about pricing, they say that the new Mustang SC probably will start around $68,000 compared to the Mustang GTD at $318 or something like that, if you can get one. I mean, you know, that was a we select you kind of buy, you know. So anyway, I just had to chuckle at the fact that we're still in that zone of are we ever going to break away from high horsepower? This, you know, there's two places in the world where high horsepower is important. The United States, because we love our muscle cars, and Italy, where they make some of the world's best supercars that come in with ridiculous horsepowers, 1,000, 1,200, 1,600. And I guess I have to include the Volkswagen Group in that because they own Bugatti, and the Swedish group Koenigsegg because they put out they have a new car out with 2,300 horsepower. But for the most part, the U.S. and Italy, you know, lead the parade when it comes to wanting muscular, fast. Let's see how fast we can accelerate cars. And at the same time, we're talking about EVs. I just chuckle. To the phones, and Sean, who didn't make it on the other day, he's with us now. Sean, good morning.
You remembered me, Art.
Oh, right. I remember.
Hey, what's happening, buddy? Interesting little tidbit on the cars there. I find that interesting you're talking about that. The other day, what I was calling in for was this whole Renee Good thing here. It's a sad situation because the truth is if we would just enforce the laws, right? But up there in Minnesota, they've been letting it slide for riots and stuff for years and years. All they had to do, right, was enforce laws the way they are, and none of this would happen. If you didn't have all sorts of, you know, check out that was a terrorist group that she was a part of, not by what I say, but by the law of the United States as described, as outlined. That's what she was a part of. She was told to go out there and do these things, right? You block cars, you get in the way. She was doing it for hours, right?
Yep.
There should be a wrongful death suit against Ice Watch of Minneapolis because they set her up for this, you know, and it's sad because these
Right.
liberal groups target weak minds, right? Normal people don't do what she does, and all these other people.
Family put out an entirely different version now. Oh, she was just letting her son off at school or something, or picking him up from school. And,
Well, that's interesting.
you know, it
You
was but you know, the reports we had were that she was following these guys and made several other
all day
interfering
she was
attempts.
doing it.
Yeah,
And they
So
let her slide, and they let her slide, and they let her slide. And then finally, when at the point when the police, when federal agents tell you to stop and get out of the vehicle, you're detained at that moment,
Yep.
right?
Yep, you should do it.
And here's the thing: look where she sent her kid. Look where that kid went to school. In their mission statement, it plainly says, and please don't believe me, people. Do your own research. She sent it to her kids to school where they openly radicalize them. Openly. Go look at their mission statement. Right? This person was, and you talked to me the other day, I hear you always say it's a fringe. It's not a fringe, Art. There's thousands of them in Saginaw that think like this, thousands of them in Bay City, hundreds of thousands in Michigan. They're all over the place. It's not a fringe. And we got to stop this stuff.
I don't know about
enough.
the numbers.
Enough of the lies, enough of the gaslighting.
Here's the difference, Sean. I will disagree with you because I still think it's a fringe, but the fringe is noisier now. They have a bigger platform. They have social
what
media.
Constitutes a fringe? What number?
A small percentage.
Give me a number.
A small percentage.
What percentage?
Pick a number. Pick 2, 3, 1. It doesn't matter.
Well, I do a lot of research, Art, a lot. And by judging on Facebook, judging on what comments I see, what's going on in the United States, I would say it's about 3 to 4 out of every 10 Americans are just clueless and radical.
You're not
That's about
just looking
30
at
to 40%.
You're not
That's
just
not
including all Democrats, are you?
No, I'm including. It has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican.
Okay,
this
I
has
just want
to
to
do
make
with
sure.
people that have been brainwashed into hating the law, hating the United States, and soft
Well,
people.
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I will grant you there are more of them today than there ever have been, and I blame social media for a lot of that because it's the
absolutely
tool,
they're being brainwashed and targeted.
Well, whatever, but that's what I, if you call it brainwashing, fine, but it's just. This tool of communication has been so misused.
Agreed.
That this is what we end up with. So I just, and now we have AI. How are we going to learn how to use AI, or is it going to do the same thing only in greater intensity? I don't know.
Well, remember when I told you, and this is what it has to do. I didn't mean you necessarily punch somebody in the face the other day. What I meant was enforced laws, this. If they would have just enforced the laws, so instead of being soft and let freaky, crazy people do their freaky, crazy stuff, you can't let them do it. You got to put that out. And the difference, Insurrection Act, you know what that entitles the president to do? To bring in peace to a city. That's it. That's it. You can't take control of anything, but then they go right to martial law. You need to wake up.
Well, you have to be careful, though.
You gotta wake up, man.
You gotta be careful.
Remotely the same,
but you got to be careful because there's a fine line between protesting and breaking the law while you're protesting.
Right. These people have been breaking the law every day, every single day. If you're blowing a whistle in somebody's ear, that's assault. If you're yelling and screaming and constantly all these things these people do, that's assault. You're breaking the law. Multiple felonies this woman created.
Well, I don't think a court would uphold blowing a whistle in somebody's ear is a felony.
Absolutely. Do your homework, Art. Don't ever believe me. Oh, absolutely. That's assault. If you just blew the whistle, that's fine. But if you follow somebody around and you keep blowing the whistle, that's causing pain to their ears. That's assault. Just like you can't go around screaming in somebody's ear and follow them around. That's assault. That's what it is. All right.
Well, we're going to leave it there because I got to take a break. But listen.
Hey, you got it, buddy. Have a great day
You too.
And shine on.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now. We'll be back. Lines open for you.
Hey, it's Charlie Roode here.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. And Jerry is in Saginaw. Jerry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning.
You know, I'm always amazed a few times I listen to this program of yours about people breaking the law. But on January 6th, when the terrorists attacked the Capitol Police,
Yep.
that was just fine.
Yeah, they broke
because
the
it
law,
was
too.
Trump. Yeah, and they're walking the street. And the other thing is about the ICE agent that killed the lady in Minnesota because he was a federal agent. I believe the Capitol Police would be federal agents, right?
Well, I guess
Well,
technically they would fall under that
Right.
category.
So
yeah.
that if they would have emptied their guns and reloaded and fired and start shooting, that would have been all right too, because that's what they're saying in Minnesota.
No, that's not
So
what they're
it's-
saying.
it's
That's
really
not
a
what they're
sad-
saying in
it's a
Minnesota.
sad-
That's not what they're saying in Minnesota. They're saying in Minnesota
Well,
she weaponized her vehicle and used it to attempt to injure an ICE officer. That's different.
So the-
in the Capitol riot, the people that were trying to injure the police, if they had been shot and if they were using a weapon against the police, would that have been justified?
What do you mean a weapon? They were beating up on the police. What are you talking about, Art?
Well, some
They
of
were
them had
beating the
some
damn
of them.
people up.
Yeah, but some of them had bars and they had other things they were using. So if you're assaulting
Well,
a police officer, would it have been all right for the police to respond?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But they didn't, did they?
No, they
Just like
didn't.
this police officer didn't have to either.
Well,
As
I don't know
think.
about have to. I wasn't there. All I've
Well,
seen.
we understand. But
All I've seen is what the press has shown in the videos and all of that. And
Well-
and when you listen, there are two different interpretations. So we'll have to wait and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, the other thing, I don't think you're going to have to worry about elections in November because this man's going to declare a martial law in October, and the
I don't
election
think
will
so.
be stopped.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
well, I'll wait till this
Okay.
happens, and I'll be calling you back.
Good. All
Okay.
right, you do that,
Yep.
but I doubt it very
Yep.
much. All right.
All right.
Good enough, Jared. Take
Yep,
care.
bye.
Bye-bye now. Now, I don't think he's going to declare martial law. I saw that speculation in the news, and that it's not going to happen. Well, let me temper that, all right? You never know with Trump. I'll give you that. But I doubt very much if it'll happen, and I doubt very much if the country would let it happen. Well, I don't know. I tend to avoid all those speculations. They don't serve any purpose. So, what can I tell you? Moving on. Another topic we've talked about. I've told this story the last few times we've had open phones. Tarik Skubal, the Tiger pitcher, is about to go into arbitration. And as of January 8th, both sides had to file their numbers. The Tigers filed for $19 million. Skubal filed for $32 million. And I have said, and I will stick with it, that I believe the arbitration panel will find in Skubal's favor. I think he'll receive the $32 million, which will make him the highest paid eligible for arbitration player. And what's interesting about this, now think about this. Back in 2015, you remember the name Price? David Price? Price, who was a very, very good pitcher, was awarded $19.75 million in salaries in 2015. That's the equivalent of about $27 million in today's money. So back then, Price had he won the arbitration and got 19.75. Tigers have offered Skubal 19 in today's money. Skubal's asking for 32. So I go back to what I said. I think Skubal's going to win. And what's interesting is the Tigers, in negotiations prior to arbitration, offered Scoobel $19.8 million. But then they filed for less in arbitration. So I suspect that Tarek Scoobel is going to come out ahead of this. That's a guess, but that's my guess. All right, we got him locked and loaded here, so let's get back to him. Chris is in Saginaw. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Art. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hope you are.
You know, Art, I listen to all this talk back and forth about the demonstrations and against ICE and all that. It's all, when you really think about it, it shouldn't even happen at all, because if they didn't have these sanctuary areas, turn them over to the police, turn them over to ICE, we wouldn't even have an issue.
Yep, that's true.
So, I mean, sympathy is in the dictionary between you know what, okay?
Yep. I just think
okay,
that...
that's all I got, Art, is that people don't, I don't want to hear any arguments from the liberals at all, because all they got to do is not be a sanctuary city and turn them over to the ICE, and there's no issue. You only need 2 or 3 ICE guys. That's all.
Yep. Well, it's not going to happen in this political climate, so...
No. How about Michigan? Is Michigan considered sanctuary?
Not that I'm aware of. I
Good.
don't know. I don't know what Detroit's protocol is for responding to ICE and letting them know. I don't think we are. The other thing that happened here was that ICE and the CPB went around to all the law enforcement agencies in the state and asked them to be part of joint operations. And there have been a few departments that signed up, but most departments, like, for example, here in Saginaw County, the sheriff said no, not because he doesn't believe in the cause. He just doesn't have the staff to be able to devote staff to an outside agency when he has to protect the citizens of Saginaw every day. So,
then the question,
the
question is if he has somebody in jail that is an illegal or committed a crime, does he contact ICE to come and get him?
If ICE asks, I think they release it. Yeah, I do.
Excellent. Okay, then. So
All
I
right.
need to know, Art, you're a good man. I don't care what they say.
Thanks,
You
Chris. They say a lot of things. All right. Take care.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Let's take a quick break. We'll get to Tom and Joe when we return.
We're proud to make...
3. I think that Russia is going to make a big move on the Ukraine, and I'm thinking that China is going to make a huge move, land, sea, and air attack on Taiwan. And I think that Iran is going to join in one way or the other and move on Israel and try to, prevent any peace in the Gaza. But anyway, I think that's going to happen within 1 year, and I think we're going to be in World War III, and it's going to be a mess of all messes.
Well, first of all, I agree. I hope you're wrong. And there are a couple of things that I would probably question. The Russian-Ukrainian one I would probably leave intact because it is entirely possible. China, for all their bravado, does not want a conflict with the United States.
Okay.
And I don't think that they're willing to risk it with Taiwan. They make a lot of noise. They do exercises. They do all that, but they've been doing that for years. And I don't think Iran is going to be much of a player. I think Iran has been sort of neutralized in some ways. I do not believe that they're going to be a major player, and I doubt very much if they would try and eliminate Israel, because I don't think the world would sit still for it. Now, does any of that lead to World War III? Well, that's always a possibility. But, we've had isolated skirmishes now for the past umpteen years. Every time we turn around, it's somebody else doing something else to somebody else. And I just, I don't know where it's going to lead. I mean, I don't think it's going to lead to World War III, but I do think there will be isolated incidents we're going to have to deal with.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. That's my guess, and that's all it is.
Well, and I hope you're right. I hope I'm totally wrong. I hope China doesn't want to play around because they're making so much money right now.
China's economy is not that solid. They
Oh,
make
no?
money in
Oh.
certain areas. Yeah, they're doing well in certain areas, but overall, they've had some issues.
Uh-huh.
So I don't put a lot of stock in, for example, them moving their ships and military and stuff around Taiwan to do an exercise. They've done that before. I don't put a lot of stock in that, and they make a lot of noise. I don't put a lot of stock in that. We make a lot of noise too, and I don't put a lot of stock in that.
Yeah.
So so I think that I would be surprised if we have some kind of world conflict, because
I hope you're right.
and there are lots. What would world conflict be today compared to, say, World War I or World War II, where it was boots on the ground in trenches? I don't think you see that today. I think you see an electronic cyber war. You see an aerial war. I don't think you see as much hand-to-hand as previous conflicts have had.
Yeah,
But-
I definitely agree
So,
with that.
who knows? Anyway, I'm
Yep.
certainly not a military expert, so I don't.
Oh, I'm not either.
But I understand what you're saying. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Art.
All right,
Have
Tom.
a good one.
Thanks for calling, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye now. And here is Joe in Saginaw. Joe, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Art. How are you?
Doing well. Hope you are.
I loved your intro with the comments about the EVs. I want to go that direction today.
Sure.
As a youngster, as a teenager, I drove some of those muscle cars. I've driven the 442, and I did 155 miles an hour on the expressway and blah, blah, blah. But I recently drove a Tesla, and I don't know a lot about cars. I'm not a car guy. But I'm telling you, the acceleration in that Tesla was remarkable. So I'd love to hear what some of your listeners have to say about the difference between the stock gasoline-powered engines and the EVs in terms of acceleration time.
Well, there's no contest. I'll tell you right now, there's no contest. And I've driven several Teslas, including their very first one. And I have a friend that owned the first one, and now he has a Plaid, which is the hottest of the hot. And it scared. And I used to race when I was young.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I used to race, and I had an A production Corvette in the '60s. I did a lot of stuff that was stupid back then. But
Yep, we all do.
I drove his Tesla. He took me out on a county road that was straight and no traffic, and told me to stop the Tesla, and told me to smash my foot to the floor. I did that for 1 second. It scared the living heck out of me. And I'm not scared easily in an automobile. I like driving fast and all that stuff. This thing scared me, and because I didn't feel I had control. Because what happens in an EV vehicle, you do not have engine lag. In a regular petrol car, you put your foot down, and some of them accelerate quickly, under 3 seconds and all that, some of the supercars, but there is still a little bit of a lag. There is no lag in an electric vehicle. You put your foot down, you go.
Yeah.
And it's scary. It is scary.
Do you have any idea what the times are? I think the electric vehicles can do it under 3 seconds or a quarter.
Oh, under 2.
3 seconds.
There's one or two of them that do it under 2. Yeah, it's scary.
And then what about gas? What's the best for that?
Well, you can get some of the supercars, if you look at the Koenigsegg's and some of the super Ferraris, and you're looking at 2.5, 2.6 in that range.
Okay,
but the typical ones are 3. Listen, I have to tell you, I recently bought a used Lincoln, and it's an Aviator. It's a few years old.
Yep.
It has a 400 horsepower twin turbo V6, puts out 415 foot-pounds of torque, and it does 0 to 60 in 5 seconds.
Oh,
So, and
know,
it's
one of
a
my
4,500, 5,000 pound car.
One of my dreams as an older guy with gray hair a few years back was to buy a Cadillac with a 6-shift and one of those big engines.
Yep.
And just go to the light and lay some rubber.
Yep. Well, this outdoes it. I mean, it's amazing. And I just, we're talking about a three-row SUV that gets up and goes like sports cars of yesterday. I mean, it's probably as fast as my Corvette was, and I had a high-powered engine in my Corvette.
I have to buy you lunch someday so you can get me there quick. We'll go through the drive-thru.
Okay. All right.
All right. Listen, thank you so much, Eric.
You bet.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yep. It's true. I mean, these cars today, my 400 horsepower is nothing. There's lots of vehicles out there that have 600, 700, 800. And there's kind of a horsepower race. Koenigsegg leads it right now, the Swedish company, because they just produced a new Koenigsegg that's got 2,300 horsepower. How they do it, I have no idea. But Chris Koenigsegg, the guy that is the genius behind this company, doesn't follow the rules. He breaks the rules and reinvents and comes up with new ways to do things. Now, I should mention that 2,300 horsepower will probably cost you about $4 million. Did I mention that? They are not cheap, that's for sure. Another one that's a high horsepower aficionado's delight, Pagani, is another nameplate. You probably never heard of it unless you're into supercars and you watch supercar shows and things. Pagani, handcrafted, beautiful car for millions of dollars. Some of them like 10. You look at Bugattis, 4 or 5 million. Sure, you can buy horsepower. You're going to pay for it. But at the same time, Ferrari has a new F80 Ferrari that's 1,200 horsepower, and it's a hybrid because it has a couple of electric motors aiding the naturally aspirated motor. And Ferrari doesn't believe in turbos. They just don't put turbos in their cars. I think they're going to start. They're also, it's interesting. I don't know how many of you follow the supercars and all that stuff. I get a kick out of looking at it. Lamborghini, which is the other big Italian company that's, opposite Ferrari. Matter of fact, if you own a Lamborghini, Ferrari doesn't allow you to buy a Ferrari. Ferrari, by the way, it is one of the most difficult companies to become a customer of. You can't walk into, say, Cauley Ferrari down in Bloomfield Hills and say, I want to buy a new Ferrari. Well, too bad. How many previous owned used ones have you bought and had serviced at the dealership? And then from that, how many of the lower line new cars have you bought? Oh, so you want to buy the newest release? If you have 8 or 10 Ferraris, we might sell it to you. That's why Jay Leno does not have a Ferrari in his garage of, 150 cars or more? Because he didn't want to deal with the dealers. It's an interesting company. Great cars. I'd love to have one. Great cars. But dealing with the company can be a nightmare. All right. Let's take a